Yeah.
Live streaming is on.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We're coming to you live here on Friday morning, the world from here. We've got a special guest with us who we're going to introduce here in a minute. But as always, I'm joined with Mr. Tim Vasco. Good morning to you, Tim. Good to see you.
Happy New Year, Dan. Here
Thank
we
you.
are back at the world from here, 2022. Hard to believe.
I know time's just flying by. And today, you know, Web 3.0, and we're talking about new business models, NFTs, and what does the metaverse really mean? And this morning we've got with us the founder.
We got Mr. Metaverse with us.
Yeah, we've got the Metaverse man, Mr. Michael Hummel with us. He's the founder of Supercar Driven. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, guys.
It's
Thanks
awesome.
for joining us, Michael. It's super exciting to have you here.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Awesome. So I know we're going to talk a little bit about what you've been doing, but we're going to talk about 2022 and what we're doing with Web 3.0, the metaverse and NFTs and all of that. It's the year of Web 3.0, 2022. So we're excited to talk about that. And then we'll talk about Supercar Driven. And thank you to Michael for sending this shirt. First time I've worn a T-shirt on the world from here. But we're going to talk about NFTs, which
I didn't get the memo, guys. Hang on. Yeah, hang on a second. Wait. I didn't not get the memo. No fair.
Okay. Yeah, you got to go off there. And what's really cool about this is one of the first NFTs that's going live here this month for Supercar Driven, which we're going to talk about here as well. So pretty exciting stuff as we kick things off for 2022, and very appropriate.
There, fixed.
There we go. All right. Woo.
Yeah, Supercar Driven.
The Hulkster.
Now you're getting that cool factor.
That's right.
This is so much cooler. Way cooler.
So,
okay, so let's get into Web 3.0, Dan. Michael,
yeah, let's do it.
Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
If you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button. Definitely click on the thumbs up, and away we go. Thanks.
All right. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about what the world from here looks like and what we're gonna think about when we start thinking about Web 3.0 in 2022. So first of all, Supercar Driven, what is it? Not gonna tell you yet. We're gonna talk about that in just a second. But Web 3.0 is about business models and what's changed. I mean, we're no longer talking about the world from here about what might happen. We're talking about what's actually changed in 2022 and really what we call the metaverse of everything. It really is a metaverse of changes and things like that. Who's talking about it? Pretty much everybody. Like, look at this layout here. Harvard Business Review. Now, this was all like pre-New Year, but you got Harvard. Why should we differentiate between tech crypto and money crypto? Why the metaverse is so much more than meta? Why the climate tech is tag may become obsolete, blah, 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 blah. Then you get into the next thing, which is the Economist. The market for non-fungible tokens is evolving, and they've created an NFT out of their cover. Then we got Global Newswire, Web 3.0, blockchain market project to grow exponentially, report and research. So growing at, what'd you say, Dan, like 1,000 times?
1,000x over the next 10 years.
Yeah, for NFTs. So if you're wondering, nobody's left out here. Like they're all there. Goldman Sachs, framing the future of Web 3.0 Metaverse Edition. And finally, Deloitte, see you in the metaverse and the spatial web and Web 3.0. What's all that mean? And fundamentally, 2022, the world from here is going to be breaking this down, knocking it out and saying, boom, boom, boom. Not only what does it mean, but here's how you do it. And that's why Michael's here. We're going to talk about how you do it, where you start, and what got started. One place you don't want to start is in this idea that this is going to be a quick, you just get rich, go out and pop it. That was happening. That's always kind of a theme in version 1 of technology. It's always been a theme in version 1.
Yeah, you put up a website overnight and do an NFT, and you kind of forget that NFTs are about protecting something that's very important, that's a value that you're paying money for. But that's what happened initially in 2021.
Well, and it happened. It's happened over and over again. It happened in crypto. Happened with all the altcoins and shit coins like we talked about last year. All the ICO stuff. Most of those things just failed. So what's going on with NFTs? Fake NFT stories, social media impersonations, customer support impersonations, investor scams, giveaway scams. An anonymous developer of an emerging NFT project called Evolved Apes jumped ship with 2.7 million, 798 ETH. I mean, it's what we're here about, to bring this kind of world of the metaverse and world Web 3.0 into perspective as to what's a legit business model. How do you create one? And how do you use these tools without falling prey to the risks that are out there like this? And they're big risks. Look at this one. A fake Banksy sold for $300,000, and then the buyer got his money back. Unfortunately for the scammer, he did get a sentence. He got arrested, going to jail. NFT phishing scams, 2.2 million lost. And this appeared from an art collector, actually. I've been hacked. All my apes are gone. This just sold. Please help me. Okay. So this is kind of where we ended, actually, 2021. And need I say that the whole last couple of years has been on trial with this fake it till you make it stuff with Elizabeth Holmes and the whole Theranos thing, who just got sentenced and convicted 20 years each for fraud.
Right.
Times 4, right? She's what? She started when she was 19, and now she's in her 30s, I think. So the rest of her life in jail, right?
Right.
I mean, and these were the smart guys that put 900 million or $1 billion into that thing. So we're going to face this. This has never really changed much, and the cool part about it to me, and the important part about it, is where, when you create an exceptional real world value proposition and an NFT platform, and you authenticate it, now all of a sudden, blockchain is supposed to be getting rid of all the BS, getting rid of all of the fake it till you make it stuff, and actually creating authenticity. And so as a result, Michael, I'm going to talk, kind of switch gears here a little bit back to you and say, this is cool what you've done, like Supercar Driven. And I want everybody to go to YouTube, not right now, finish this.
Yeah. Well,
wait for a minute, save this. We'll tell you again at the end of this show. Supercar Driven on YouTube, and check it out and subscribe there, because it is freaking fun and it's cool, and it's a business model. And we met when, well, I'm looking behind you, when you were doing what, Michael? Let's just get a quick background for our watchers and listeners about what you did, because you had another very cool business model we started on, and then all of a sudden, boom, like sideswipe COVID. So what happened?
Yeah, that's 30 years of my life, and I built the world's largest basketball camp network for kids. I
Cool.
mean, literally 80 hours a week. And COVID hits, and just overnight gone.
Yeah.
It took a while to sink in. It's like, wait a second. I can't, even if I can run these camps, I'm not going to run the risk of all these kids getting sick. And I mean, it's just,
right.
And when life knocks you down, because it's always going to, so it's about how many times you get back up. I mean, you've heard it before, but it's so true. And it's okay to be depressed for a while, but at some point you got to go, wow, now what?
Yeah, exactly.
My world from here, what's that going to be?
Yeah, it changed like the book that came out many years ago, but Who Moved My Cheese?
I love that book.
Me too. If you don't go search for new cheese, you go hungry, right?
So Michael, your cheese got moved.
Your cheese got moved. Yeah.
Like a 30-year cheese block that was really you were doing great with. Obviously, this inventory you have is amazing of supercars, and I'm just we'll go look at that in a minute. But how did you come up with this idea of Supercar Driven?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could take credit for that, but I'm a boomer, so I took my millennial son. So he came walking in the office one day and he goes, Dad, DDE's car's for sale. Let's buy it and start a YouTube channel. Well, first of all, what's DDE? I do know what a YouTube channel is, but he was so excited about it. My first thing was, I'm not doing that. And I mean, his enthusiasm was off the chart. And so I kind of got caught up in that. And I said, well, let's do it. Let's give him a call. Long story, but we wound up buying that car, and that launched our YouTube channel.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and that was just a year ago, right?
So just a little over a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit. So here's your son. He's stuck at home with you. Let's start there because of COVID. Your business is history. You and I were talking back then, Michael. We're like, how are we going to resurrect this thing? What are we going to do with this? And I remember getting the phone call. We're doing supercars, and I'm like, huh? Like, how is that basketball? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool because, as you said, think about that. I mean, here's your son, and wasn't he a big gamer and streaming? And so he kind of had a handle on all this online. How do you create a business model and what are people doing out there, didn't he?
Yeah. I remember talking with you about that. Son, you can't make a living playing video games all day. Well, guess what? He's a
apparently you can.
Yeah.
One hell of a living.
I mean,
PewDiePie or all these guys, right?
Yeah, I remember talking with you about that stuff, and I was just learning it, going, "Whoa, Tim, what is this?"
Well, I think one of the most interesting thing is I was here. I read something with my Gen Zers and my millennials, and I just read something recently that said, "Let's get this straight: Gen Z and millennials are the same thing." So I was here with my kids. We've been in this for a couple of years, and they're asking me obviously about crypto, blockchain, everything else. So Michael, we've had very similar tracks on, wow, like look at this universe merging. Isn't that the metaverse? Isn't that really what it is? At the end of the day, the metaverse is this combination of what we've been living with COVID, as well as what we've been living at home, as well as what we've been doing to say, now what? What's the business model? So, but were you skeptical at first? Honestly, I mean, flat out.
Well, yeah. How can you not be? When he starts talking to me about these numbers and stuff, I'm going, what? It took me 20 years to do what I can do in 2 hours now.
Yeah.
So of course I was skeptical about that. I mean,
well, and building an audience, as you know, over your 20 years in the basketball camp world and in the past, I think that's a huge divergence between the past and the future and metaverse and what we could do now. Scaling.
Well, yeah, it's moving at the speed of technology, right? It's moving at the speed of digital, really. And so, with that, when did you get the idea? Like, okay, you got the car, you started the channel. you guys started putting some video together and kind of getting out there. I watched the early ones. The difference between the early ones and the late ones is awesome to watch the evolution, right? And you had one car. How many cars do you have now?
17. That's close to accurate, probably accurate.
17 supercars. So that's a pretty big asset base. Like that's a big capital asset base, as we would put it in business terms, right?
Yeah.
Now, when did you get the idea? You went from one car to 17. When did you get the idea that like this might work? Just start going.
Yeah. Well, ironically, the DDE car, they never have to date honored their word. And so that's a little disappointing because that's what we were going to use to launch our channel.
Right.
But there's lots of great people in this industry. There's a gentleman that has a channel called Mustafa Vlogs, and he came over and shot a video of one of our cars and posted it. And overnight, I got 2,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Well, you know, thank you. It takes people years and years and years to do that.
So let me ask you this, Michael. I'm going to compare analog to digital. How long? How many like kids did you have in the camps?
Average would be 100 kids per camp.
Okay, so how long did it take you to get 200? Or what is that? 20 camps going all over the world or all over the United States? How long did it take to do that versus what you did overnight?
Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah.
It was hard. 30 years of hard work.
Right.
And talking to a lot of parents, talking to a lot of coaches and putting all those connections together.
I'll never forget, my house turned into a mail center where we're sending letters out to every school, every coach. I mean, it took hours and hours and hours. I can push a button now.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So now Web 3.0 starts making some sense, doesn't it? And digital, right? This whole idea of digital. And guess what? You're not traveling to all those camps anymore either. To do that, 2000, you're driving supercars down the highway, which I still want to ride, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we're having so much fun with it. But we go down to California, West Coast Exotics, one of the best car, plug for them, best exotic car dealership in America, Call Hunter. But we buy a car from another YouTuber called TJ Hunt. We buy his car along with another one that day, but he mentions us in his video that he just sold his car to us. I don't know. I mean, maybe a 10-second mention. I literally sat there and watched the counter go. I mean, 2,000 subs, and this guy gives us a 10-second message.
Right.
You know?
And so, you know, what I call that for Web 3.0, Michael, I think I've used this term with you before, is influenceonomics, right? Because that's exactly what it is. Like, we not only have shifted this Web 3.0 model of what you could do, and we've shifted the way people find out about it. Like, right? How many emails did you send out to all of those people?
Oh, as you know, that's a whole business, and thousands and thousands of emails go out, and
so that was in the basketball camps, right?
Yeah.
What about Supercar Driven?
None.
Yeah.
Well,
email.
I didn't do anything. I bought a car.
Exactly. You know, I got this big blast of people going, we want to blast through your platform. Could we do it? I'm like, yeah, by the billions. But could we do it? Well, I won't let you do it, but we could. Why? Because it's over. That's not the way the world works, right? It's not, you know, filling up people's inboxes with emails is not Web 3.0. In fact, if you're getting a bunch of emails, maybe it's good to get them and understand, yeah, that's happening. It's a good reminder for us, but that's just like a check mark now. That is not the way Web 3.0 or the world works. The world works by going, that's cool. Look at that car. Look what they're doing. Look at all those other cars, you know? and all the other stuff to look at when you're down there. Which
I know.
I'm not gonna. No spoiler alerts. Go watch the channel for God's sakes. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, supercardriven.com is your website, but on YouTube, Supercar Driven, and it's one of those things that I subscribed early on, and initially I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting, unique, and showed it to a friend. He's like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then, as Tim said, as these have gone on and on throughout the year, now I really look forward to it. I get a text message, and then this subscriber bell. And as somebody said to me yesterday when they found out that we were doing this, they said, this is a really good way to spend an hour. And he said, every time one of these comes out, it's an hour that's just gone. And I always look forward to it. So
yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
So Michael, so that was all the cool stuff. That was kind of building the foundation. You got surprised. You're like, oh my God, this is real. This is actually happening. What weren't you prepared for? Like, what were the things that started popping up? Because let's get down to it. Like, there's operations here. This doesn't just happen on its own. It might be different operations. It might not be 80-hour a week grinding it out. It might even be fun operations. But what surprised you from that perspective? Like running a business like this, what weren't you prepared for? What did you learn along the way operationally?
It's a good question. God, I would love to take 30 minutes and talk about 1989, I think it was. President Reagan decided to figure out what makes an economy work and did this huge massive study. And he learned that it's the small business person that makes America run. Right. It's kind of a duh, but okay. So
we all knew that, by the way.
Yeah.
I said we all knew that. We didn't have to ask you.
Well, yeah, we didn't have to spend several $100 million, but good part of that is he authorized Small Business Administration to mentor small business, and so I applied, and I was one of the lucky 10 that got selected, right? And I'll never forget this, and this is a plug for you guys, man. I went in and sat down, and the speaker came in and just said, guys, among other things, but what you need to do is find a technically weird individual. That was his definition of it. Okay, now I call you guys blockheads. I prefer that to technically weird individual because it's all blockchain. But he just went on and on about it, and I learned then it's like, oh my gosh, it's so right. Then it was just kind of the internet, and the computers were just kind of getting going, but now that's manifested by what, 100,000x?
Oh, yeah.
But it's still the same thing. So I went to hire some technically weird individuals, and man, these guys were expensive.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the other day, holy cow, I've got hundreds or thousands of these technically weird individuals for $9 a month now.
Yeah.
I just hired BlockCerts.
Yeah.
And so I can do my cars and all that stuff. But as far as this whole world that I don't grasp and understand, which is our world from here now, right? It's where everything is going. How do I do that? I don't even know the right questions to ask in an interview and on and on. And I thank God that I ran into you guys. Well, I don't understand what you're doing, but I don't have to.
Well, and let's get into that, because I think that that's really important, which is, as you said, you don't have to, but you do have to have one thing. You have to trust your technically weird individuals. Yes. TWI. I'm going to change my name.
There you go. You need a new T-shirt, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. Technically weird individual.
That was his term. I like blockheads, but
that's a good one too. Now I feel like Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting into that. So what's next is kind of this idea of you don't need to know how everything works, but you do kind of need to know how to make that next step, because you had this amazing amount of success in in a year. And in fact, don't you have almost 15,000 subscribers right now?
I am still floored by that. Yes, we do.
15,000. Think about that. and then so you have 15,000 subscribers from that's like 0 to 60 in what, like 0.1 of 1 second.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's a supercar.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
like one of your McLarens.
Yeah, it's truly a supercar business. But what's next is kind of this idea of the NFT. That's what we're talking about, right? Which is these things that you really don't need to know everything about them. But as we talked about in, getting into this, you got to be careful of that. So you got to have that trust and that confidence and that authentication and stuff. But what's next is these NFTs and how you can really take these cars and in fact digitize them and business model 2.0. What is a supercar and what does that look like, right?
Yeah,
I'm excited to learn. I mean,
yeah, and yesterday,
so,
Tim,
when we start looking at NFTs, and I'm just going to show you the starting point here. Let me just get a site up, but I'm going to show you the site that we actually have going for Supercar Driven. And the interesting thing about it is that you are not just stopping with the success, but you're actually executing on it and continuing to move. Web 3.0. So when I say that, what would you think the greatest part of this business is to you versus your business in the past? Like, what are the greatest parts? And you already said a few, like obviously how fast you can grow things, how quickly you can get things done, how your overhead cost of getting technology and things like that is just driven down to the floor, and you can now participate in a market and actually have that market adjust to where you need it to be. It's elastic, right? It's not, you got to pay, $300,000, $500,000 just to get started. You got an elastic opportunity. I think that's what people are completely missing about Web 3.0 is not getting locked into this. I got to burn bunches of money. You're just leveraging what's out there and leveraging some knowledge and then inviting us in. So I feel super lucky.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to feel more lucky when I get the ride in the car.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the reality of what we're doing here, right?
And what's amazing about your business model is you're purchasing assets that are appreciating. They're one of one, many of these assets, but to add the NFT piece to it, those assets are going to multiply.
Yeah.
It's a cool business.
So what is the greatest part of this business for you, Michael? What do you look at and say, that is really
sure. And immediately my number one answer is I get to do this with my son.
Right.
I mean, but on a business level, it's to become an influencer and what I can do with that. Okay. I get back to you guys. I just keep thinking about this $9 a month, and I get to be in the metaverse and everything that's out there that I could spend the rest of my lifetime just trying to figure out. So, I mean, I find that really exciting. But you just, there's a gentleman called the Stradman. The same thing with him. We bought a car from him. Actually, we bought 2 cars from him. But he gives us another 10-second mention on one of his videos, 3,000 new subs.
Yeah.
These guys have so much power.
And that's this whole idea, I think, of what we're working on in Web 3.0 in 2022 at BlockCerts is this idea of influenceonomics and trustonomics.
Right.
Because one of the big things about a Web 3.0 company is, you had to trust your gut, right? You honestly, your son came in and you're like, okay, cool. Well, it's your inheritance anyway. So,
Yeah, that's true.
right? So the first thing is you had that opportunity that you'd set up, but it took you 30 years to do it, right? Honestly.
Yeah, it did.
Secondly, you followed your gut and you did get to do something that really called, I think what I'm hearing called to you because it was your son. You're like, hey, this is at least the worst that's going to happen is something cool I can do with my son, right?
Yeah.
And then the third thing was, wow, this is really a business model. This is something that is astounding. How can I put frameworks around it? And now we're evolving that. And this has been fun. And this has been a good challenge for me. You came to me with lots of challenges over the years, but this has been fun to start looking at this NFT. So every car with this cool NFT, and I was able to find the artist to do this thing, and we're going to get that out there next. And you all of a sudden have digitized, like literally digitized a physical real world asset that's cool to drive. It's cool to have this digital art. It's cool to have all the other stuff that we've talked about that can happen in the metaverse. Like think about the metaverse of the racetrack we're going to build out there, Michael. How cool is that?
Yeah. And it's also cool, the community that you're building, this community that is, you're bringing them along with you to the metaverse.
That's right.
Yeah, they get to be part of it. And I did the basketball thing with the kids. My heart is for helping kids, working with kids. But can you imagine the influence I can do for nonprofit stuff and to help kids once this thing really gets going and I become one of these large, huge subscriber base? I mean, that is beyond exciting what we can do.
Exactly. And what's more fun than going into the virtual garage, and then having actual events. And as COVID kind of dissipates from the world and from the universe that we have in the real world, we can actually combine digital, where a lot of us spend most of our time right now, and we combine that with real world stuff. That is the metaverse. That is meta. That is literally, and the word meta actually means in technology, it's data about data. And all these big tech companies knew that. They've known that forever. And they've monetized on top of that. Why does a YouTube channel have value? Well, you're providing all the content. Google is returning back to you revenue streams and things like that, and AdWords and all that, that as your subscriber base grows, those ads come out. That's what keeps Google hopping. And I'm going to say this. I thought about this over the break. You know, people give Google a hard time. The world without Google would suck. I don't care what anybody says. The world without Google would suck. Okay, we want to protect our data, but I'm kind of like the fact that sometimes they know what I want, right? Maybe I don't want them to know everything, but I kind of like that, and I know that I can find anything I want.
Oh, yeah, whether it's fixing your boat or whatever. It's just a search away.
I'm building out my Overlander. I don't know if I've told Michael about that project I got going, but not as cool as your stuff. But
okay, so how many times does your kid say this to you? My son would just roll his eyes and go, "For gosh sakes, Dad, Google it."
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'd ask him, "How do you do this?" And he just go, "Oh my goodness, Google it, Dad."
Or as my mom says,
that's just the reality of where we're at in this world. So we're here. Access to the Supercar Garage. You're going to get these NFTs. We're rolling this out this month, Michael. This is so cool. The tech to authenticate those NFTs has been tough, right? And NFTs have been taken off. They really have. But BlockCerts' mission is to make sure that when they take off and when people get this stuff, it's authenticated. And then we'll be rolling out these other very cool markets around Web 3.0. So everything, you're really defining that assets market, that real world platform of cars and things like that. And that digital asset related to a real asset. Like when you get this NFT over here and you're on Supercar Driven, that VIN number is going to be embedded in the code there. You know if it's the real one or not. You know it. Like whoever gets this first one, which is going to be super exciting to get it out there, is going to actually have that digital marker of that amazing, famous car. That's a McLaren, isn't it?
That one is yes.
That's the McLaren. And that is, what's the story behind that car?
This one with the NFT, I'm not sure which car is in the actual picture. We'll have to get the real picture of that particular car there. But on the right, the NFT, that is the DDE car. That's the very
DDE
first
car.
one
So
that we bought.
that's car number one
Car
of
number
Supercar Driven.
Yep.
So there you go. Car number one, Supercar Driven NFT, authenticated because it's cross-chain. It's got all of that stuff. There are no fakes. There's no fake in it.
Yeah.
It's the real deal.
That's the
And
real deal.
kind of boiling it down, that's really what this new model, this new kind of business model is here that we're building out and launching with you. And it's super excited to do it. So, what we're going to say, because we're kind of running out of time here, is if people want to learn more about Web 3.0, how Michael pulled this off, how he's doing it. We just are lucky to be associated with somebody who's innovative and frankly has the insight and the guts to do something like this, Michael. It took a lot of courage, but it also, I think you did, just trust your gut.
Yeah. And how cool that both your son and yourself are actually learning from each other as well. I mean,
it's pretty cool.
The 30 years of business experience that you have, one would think that that's everything, but growing up and the experience that your son Chris has, that's everything too, to do what you're currently doing. So that cross section is quite valuable.
Oh my goodness, yes. He has the knowledge for the world from here.
Exactly. And the passion for it too.
Yeah.
And I've seen Chris on the videos and so forth, and I'm super excited to get together with you guys really at one of these real world events and keep watching what happens with Supercar Driven and being part of it. And I want to thank you for being one of those innovators that does create this new world from here for these future generations. Because at the end of the day, and you and I talk about this all the time, this is what we're handing off.
Yeah.
And we're boomers. We've done this for a long time. We know what the business models are. We know what's broken, but guess what? We didn't break everything. We built some cool stuff too, because a lot of this came from the last 20, 25 years, 30 years. Like you, I've been at this 25 years, 30 years now, Michael, building this stuff out. It didn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
And so with that, hey, everybody, you got to go visit Supercar Driven on YouTube. And you're already here on YouTube on the world from here. So we want you to do two things. We're asking you for this because this is how we grow and get this message out there about Web 3.0, the metaverse. Metaverse you can control, not Zuckerberg, but you can control it yourself like Michael's doing and have a ball doing it. Also, work hard. I mean, I'm sure you put in the hours, Michael, right? You're putting in hours.
There's no substitute for that.
No substitute. Nope. But you know what? Join us. Join Supercar Driven. And if you like this content, give us a thumbs up. And if you don't, tell us why not. But we love working with guys like Michael and people that are building Web 3.0 business models. And the metaverse is going to be freaking cool. Our first one's going to be supercars. How cool is that?
I know. What a way to accelerate.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Michael, can't thank you enough for being here. I love what we have, like choice, $9 a month, 9 tokens. And what will you do with Web 3.0? Kind of says it right there. Anything you want, right? Because it's your web and it's your cloud, and it's what Michael did with it. He just took it and ran with it, and 17 supercars later is still speeding down the highway, Web 3.0 highway.
It is. And as Tim said, authenticity, security, and NFTs. I heard somebody ask me yesterday about, I thought NFTs were secure because it's on the blockchain, and kind of a metaphor to highways and cars. It all depends on how you access that highway and get off that highway, the on-ramps and off-ramps, and make sure that it's secure and authentic and safe. And NFTs are a great way to store a value and to play in this new metaverse. So thanks for joining us, everybody. And Tim, you'll take us off screen here.
Okay,
but
well,
make
everybody
sure you
stay
subscribe.
safe, stay healthy, and let's get through this thing. This is the year to get through it all and launch Web 3.0 with digital. So we're going to get digital Web 3.0 in 2022. Get to Supercar Driven on YouTube and give us the thumbs up and the like and subscribe on both channels.
And
Go look
support
at it. Very
Supercar.
cool. We're already wearing our NFT t-shirts.
We are. We're psyched.
Let's go. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody. Have a
everybody.
great weekend.